Correct. And then Paula will that enters into the pre-show.
Oh, this is no, that's the last one. Okay. All right, let's go here. Still.
Did it go live yet? Say again?
Mm,
Okay, you just have to quit the app and open it up again.
okay, hang on. I'll think twice. Twice. I see us now. Okay. Share. Feed. Show is starting. Oops. Is not.
So Mick, I'm going to have you do the timer unless you know how to switch the Stream Deck over. You know where the Stream Deck button is? Yeah, hit that. And then when Stream Deck opens, I'll tell you what to do. Okay, you have to look in the upper left-hand corner and click on that, and you have to go to Table of the Stream Deck. We don't want that. We want RW, yeah. Perfect. That's exactly it. Okay, thank you, Mick.
Okay, so we're live, but as soon as the timer starts, we'll get going.
Okay. Here we go. You're on the air.
Hi, it's Paula, and this is whoever holds the stone, and the stone seems to be missing, so I'm not going to even worry about it. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter.
No, it's missing.
We don't need it right now. All we need to do is introduce Richard, who is my always my companion, my always companion. And of course, we have Mick Engineering today, which is really exciting. So I'm really happy to have Mick on board. And we are, as Mick had put on here, we are going to have another Bible story. I almost feel like, do you remember Fractured Fairy Tales?
Yeah.
From Bullwinkle and
Sure.
Rocky? Well, that's what I feel like I do with the Bible. Fractured Bible stories.
Mm.
All right, so this one is another story about King David, because I'm still on King David in the Bible. I don't read that much of the Bible before I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, King David had a lot of wives. And he also had, I looked up how many, and they said 8 named wives, but there were probably more. And same thing, concubines. I don't remember how many they said, maybe 11 concubines. And so he was having kids with all of these women.
Mm-hmm.
So one of his wives was Mach. It's Maach. She was the mother of this girl, Tamar, and Absalom. Okay, so those were her 2 children. So then there was another wife, Anaoam, and she was the mother of Ammon, and he was King David's firstborn son. So he had the status of being the next in line for the kingship.
Mm-hmm.
So he was special. Well, he was special, but he was a big asshole because he had the hots for Tamar, who was his half-sister.
Hmm.
And apparently it wasn't completely off the board marrying your half sibling. You couldn't marry a whole sibling, but you could marry a half sibling, but it had to be a special circumstance, right?
Hmm.
So he was in love. Well, what he said he was in love with her, but he was actually lusting after her.
Mm.
So, hi, Celeste. Nice to see you. Can she hear us?
Maybe she doesn't have it turned on yet. Is the sound for Vin 6 turned up, Mick? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Celeste, I don't know if you can hear us, but I can't hear you. Okay. So anyway, he's got the hots for this girl, and he wants to somehow get to her, and he does know that it's not really great to have sex with your sister.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care because he's the firstborn and he's spoiled. So his friend, Jonadab, he gets a plan in place where Amnon's can get this sister over to his house. So he tells the king that Amnon is sick. So the king comes over to check on him because, of course, he's doting on him because he's the firstborn. So he comes over and he says, "Is everything okay? What's wrong with you? How do you feel?" And he says, "Oh, no, I'm really sick. I'm so sick I can't even get out of bed." He says, "It would be great if you could send Tamar over here to cook me some food. She's really a good cook, and I want her to come over here and make me some food." So David says, "Sure, I'll send her over." So he sends her over, and she's in the kitchen, and she's kneading the dough, and she's making little heart-shaped cakes for him, and she's really into it. And he says, "I'm really, really feeling sick." And then he sends all of his servants away. And the servants all go home or wherever they go to when they leave. And he tells Tamar, he says, "I'm so sick I can't even get out of bed." So Tamar, who is sweet and innocent, and she brings the food into his bedroom. And then he says, he asks his sister to bring him the food in bed. And then when she got to the bed, he grabbed her and demanded that she sleep with him.
Mm.
And she said, okay, I'll read the quote that they had in there. "No, my brother, don't do this wicked thing." And she even suggested that if they ask David, David would allow them to marry. Well, he doesn't have intentions of marrying her. He just wants to have sex with her. So he attacks her. He forces her to have sex. She's a ruined woman now. She rips her clothes like they do when they're in mourning. The people back then, they would rip their robes and put ashes on their face. And she went into mourning for her own virginity. And as soon as he had sex with her, he hated her.
Oh, my God.
And he kicked her out of the house. And he didn't want anything to do with her anymore. And so she's like mourning this loss of her virginity. And her brother, Absalom, finds her. He's a full brother. And she tells him what happens, and he's distraught. So he goes to David, and he says, "What are you going to do about this? This is bad news." And David says, "There's not really a lot I can do about this. There weren't two witnesses. There have to be two witnesses to charge him with a crime." He says, "But what about your daughter's word?" He says, "That's one witness. I don't have enough. He's my firstborn. He's the heir to the throne." So he doesn't do anything.
What happened?
Well, what's that? I heard something.
I did too.
Yeah. So anyway, Absalom's really upset. So he just sits on this for a while, and he's thinking, what can I do? What can I do? So finally, like 2 years later, he invites Absalom invites Amnon to a festival. It's a festival for shearing sheep. And he gets him drunk, and they're having a great time. And as soon as he's drunk and he can't really defend himself, he sends over his servants and he kills them. Now,
Wait a minute.
No.
I just want to make sure. When you started.
okay. Oh, so we're okay. So he kills him, and then of course the king is pissed, and the king banishes him, and he ends up being able to somehow he sits at the gate. He sits at the gate of Israel, and he convinces all of these people who are coming in to do business with the king, because the king is really the judge, and he's judging all these legal matters.
Yeah.
And he says, if I was the judge, I would be on your side, because I can see your point. I can see that you have a good case here.
All right.
And so finally, he gets all these people to come with him, and he rebels, and there's a civil war. So that's what happens because of this rape.
So the Civil War is him against his father?
It's him against his father. And what happens, though, is that this is not the first time that somebody kills somebody for David because they think that David wants them dead. And then when they do that, David goes into mourning. So somebody kills Absalom so that he can't get to David and kill him. And the guy and David was nuts. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah.
So he's in danger because his son has caused a civil war to come out, and yet the guy Joab, I think, is the one who killed him, and he is upset, and so every time somebody kills somebody for David, David kills them. He says, "I didn't want this guy killed," just like he did with Saul, and anyway, he's insane. So all these people, these Christians who are comparing Trump to David, they might not be wrong. You know. Oh, hello, Rob.
Okay, so Celeste can now see and hear us. Can we
Okay.
hear you, Celeste?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yay, we can. Yes, yes. We have Mick engineering today, so
Okay.
Tom has still got bronchitis, as do I, but it's not
Yeah.
quite as bad. So I can sing now in the car. That's a big thing for me because I like to sing really loud in the car. I sounded like a frog for a long time.
Okay.
So I'm very confused by these Bible stories. You know, like the girl gets raped. It's his daughter. He doesn't do anything about it. Oh, also, he said that he made this mistake with Bathsheba, right when he killed Bathsheba's husband. He sent him to the front and to get killed. So his own conscience is bothering him. So how is he going to say, I have to get rid of Amnon because of what he did? Plus, he was the heir to the throne. Plus, he was afraid it would make him look weak in front of the other rulers of the other kingdoms that were around him. So there was all this stuff that was going on that he couldn't make this decision to. But it's his daughter. What is wrong with these people? Anyway, that's my Bible story for the day.
Oh, I missed some of that.
Well, yeah, it's Tamar. It's the story of Tamar, King David's daughter, one of King David's sons by another woman, by another wife, rapes her. But he's the first son, so he's the heir to the throne. So David didn't do anything, and Absalom, who was a full brother to Tamar, killed after a couple years of figuring out what he was going to do. He ends up having him killed by his servants.
Oh.
But and that pisses off David again. I mean, he doesn't seem to know what he wants. He's got some problems.
Most of them do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my big Bible story for the day.
Oh.
But I'm reading. I did get my library card from the New York City library system. You can,
Wow.
as long as you live in New York State, you can get a New York City library card, and then you have access to their whole library on Libby.
Wow.
I know. All you got to do is go on their website and prove, just say what your address is in New York, and they'll give you a number. And then I had to take it to the library, though, because I missed something on Libby that I couldn't find how to add another library.
Okay.
But that is awesome. So now, because I wanted access to some Balzac audiobooks, and there's no Balzac in the Buffalo Library System. Not surprising. It's not really
Right.
a popular ask. But, of course, New York has... and I listened to a short story about an artist who for 13 years he's been painting this painting, and he is in love with this painting. And so it's called Hidden Masterpiece or something.
Okay.
But it's funny because I'm listening to that, and I'm also listening to James Baldwin. I'm listening to another book, so the tone and the language is so different between the two that it's kind of. I'd like to see a book written by one or the other in the other person's language and see how that comes off.
That would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? Wild.
Yeah. But so I'm listening to what time does this train leave or something like that. I don't know if you're familiar with that book. It was the only one that was available currently. Baldwin must be having a some kind of surge because all of the books have waiting lists.
Yeah. Well, we're just off of
Black
Black History Month,
yeah,
right? And now we're approaching, civil rights, women's rights, these kinds of things. So anytime, the assassination of Dr. King, anytime certain social things come up, there are icons that will surface
and people will mention their books, and then that's how.
Yeah.
See, did you watch Sunday Morning? Do you ever watch Sunday Morning?
No.
They had the most marvelous story on Sunday Morning about these three people they're 80 years old now, but they were born in the concentration camps right before the war ended, and they were released. And the mothers had to pretend that they weren't pregnant. And the one mother weighed 70 pounds.
Wow.
And she gave birth to this baby. And the most remarkable thing was that she had the baby with her, skin and bones. You know how these pictures of the Holocaust look. And one of the people from the United States, from the American troops, came in, and she showed him the baby.
Wow.
And he saw the baby had sores, and it was very small and full of sores. And he took the baby, and she let him take the baby, and he took her to the medical tent, and they fixed her up, and he brought her back to the woman. And for the entire life of this woman, she wondered what happened to that man who helped her with her baby.
Wow.
And the same thing, the guy who saved the baby always wondered if that baby survived. And if so, somehow through the girl had gone to the United States, the baby who was grown up and she was a teenager, she went to the United States or a 20-year-old or whatever, to go to college. And the mother said, see if you can find this guy. And she's like, where do I start? How would I start? So she found out who the people were that came in that day to that camp. And she reached out to the historian for that part of the their, I don't know, it was the medical corps or something. She reached out, and sure enough, she found the guy, and they were able to meet each other.
Oh my God, how wonderful!
I know. I was sitting there bawling. I'm just like sobbing, and Greg's like, "Good story, huh?" Because he's like walking in and out.
Yeah.
I said it was, and there's a book. I put it in my notes. There is a book that was written about these three babies that were, and none of the mothers knew that the other women were pregnant. They were all in the same camp. They were all pregnant. They all had their babies right in the same month in April 40, whatever it was. What, 45? 45?
45.
Yeah. So they all came, and they were all, but they couldn't tell anyone they were pregnant because they would have been gassed immediately, because they were slave labor in a munitions plant.
Yeah.
So if they would have found out they were pregnant, they would have been gassed. And the gas, they sent them to be gassed, and the gas chamber was turned off the day before they got there.
Wow.
The last people to die were the day before they got to the camp. I'm just okay. It's called Born Survivors, and it's by Wendy Holden, and I've already got it on hold, both at the Buffalo and the New York City Library.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Maybe I can get to it in the fall. You know, I'm so locked into projects now that I haven't had a chance to read anything other than what I'm working on.
I'm just doing audiobooks because that's how I get through them, because I'm doing
Yeah.
you got to do stuff in the house. I mean, you can't really get around
Yes.
it. You know, dishes are so
They're not gonna do themselves, as they say.
and I had to learn that. It wasn't completely obvious to me when I first started housekeeping. I do remember one time I had a sink full of dishes, and my mother was coming over to watch my daughter. And I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have time to do these dishes. She's going to go berserk." So she said, "Why don't you just hide them in the oven?" So I did. I put all the dirty dishes in the oven, and my mother was looking for a cup. I didn't have a clean cup. So she found them. Oh, well.
Well, it was a good try.
It was a good try. It was a good idea if it would have worked, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
And the other,
Why are there two pictures of me on the screen?
one is your, when I do Zoom from home, I always see myself twice. There's one of me and
So you can click somewhere on your screen if there's somewhere you can click and it'll say hide self view.
I'm glad to know that, because I didn't know about that. And it's always distracting to see two of yourself but we only see one of you here, and there's only one that's being broadcast.
Okay. So
So I don't know, probably under.
I'm getting chat and I'm getting pin, and if you can just see one of me, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll live with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were seeing, like Hollywood Squares, all these faces and these bodies.
No,
It's
no,
like,
it's
oh
just,
no.
it was just so yeah. So I have been I looked up the Baldwin book that I'm reading, and that my phone's been acting really weird lately. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Planned obsolescence.
I'm not getting a new one. I just got this maybe a year and a half ago. It's not going to happen.
There's some laws going before Congress, if Congress ever does anything, about dealing with the tech community's planned obsolescence.
And what
started really bad when you couldn't take the back off your phone to replace the battery.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so this one is Tell Me How Long the Train's Been Gone. And it's a book about a man. It tells his whole life story, but kind of from it starts off in a sick bed. He had a heart attack, and he's an actor, and he tells his whole life story from the sick bed. It's kind of an interesting way of doing it.
Okay.
So I like it. I don't like it as much as the other two that I've read so far, but there's always some twist, because being white, I don't have a lot of access to the Black experience, except through friends and through reading. So by reading these books, I'm getting a picture that I wouldn't ordinarily get. It should be required reading for any group of people to read something like this. Of course, there's a lot of sex and swearing in these books, but it should be it should be a no-brainer for people to have to read this stuff, to try to get a clear picture of what happens and what people go through. So that's my feeling about it, but I don't get to make any rules. I'm not
No, we don't get to make any. And, we're dealing right now with so many people
what about
that are not, interested in humanity.
What about this law that they're trying to pass about voting? Do you have this on your radar?
I am so sick and tired. Well, here's the other thing. I guess my question is forcing people to have ID. Let's just say that, that's one of these principles. The suggestion is that people don't have identification. What
Well,
makes you think that what makes you think one party more so than the other party,
Right.
or
I-
one group of people more than the other group of people will not have identification for voting? You've always had to have a voter ID card.
you have a voter ID card, but they want picture ID, and in some cases, and if it's not exactly the right, you know how that goes. You move someplace, you move from one place to another, and you don't
Right.
change your address. You're
Well,
disqualified.
then, unless you'd have to be conscientious about that, or go to your old polling place.
That's true.
This is the right. If you're up against that, you're going to have to find your own way to skin the cat.
Right.
And in New York State, we had to have that updated ID.
They were,
And if you were going to drive a car or have anything to do with Social Security or whatever, you had to get the license with the star or the flag or the quote unquote real ID.
they're talking about changing it to a passport.
Well, then we all better go. I mean,
I
my
don't have
grandson
I
has a
don't have
passport.
I don't have a valid passport. I have an old passport, and a lot of people never get a passport because they don't travel anywhere besides the United States.
Well, and I would suggest, and that's absolutely true, but I would
And it's
say
expensive.
considering,
It's over $100. I mean, to get a passport now.
well, yeah, it's about that. I got my grandson a passport last year, and I renewed mine. And I tell my kids, when you go get the real ID, driver's license, get a passport. Save up for it. Maybe you can't have cable 1 month or whatever it
Yeah.
is that people do, that will give you, because that's right now to me. That's you drive a car, you have to have a driving license. You live in America, you got to have a passport.
Right.
You have to be a visa holder in your own country. I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah, I'm very Trump. I read something yesterday that said that Trump will not sign any other bills into law until this voting rights, and not a watered down version. He wants the full shebang, and the full shebang would limit the amount of people who could vote. Did you have this on your list today at all?
No, I figured it would come up.
Yeah, it is. It's atrocious. It is.
Well, don't sign nothing. Don't sign nothing, and
But
get
that's
the
what I
heck out.
thought. That's what I thought. Let it go, and
Let it go. Let him stew in his own stew.
right,
Because his ego is too magnificent. He cannot go but oh so long without signing something, right? And not only that, but something to that extent. Voting is part of the Constitution. It will have to make its way to the Supreme Court. States do different, however they manage their process.
well,
I just think, he opens his mouth and stuff rolls out.
do you think, Richard, is it? Do you know if it's part of the bill to federalize the voting? Is it?
Yeah,
He wants to federalize the voting.
Right.
So,
which is against the Constitution. So
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. The process of voting was in the Constitution. And so here's what will happen. He'll try to do that, and those states that are upholding the Constitution are not going to do it. They're just not going to do it.
well, I hope.
And, I mean, if you want to stay in line with the law, you have to follow the Constitution. And so those states, and he keeps making the same mistake over and over by excluding Democratic leadership from his little, soirees and meetings and things. All that does is, make the lines less blurred and more solid. That would do when it comes to, dividing up, the people and the those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And members of the departments and members of Congress and Senate, I mean, they're fleeing. they're resigning.
I know.
They're like, no tomorrow. I mean, the DOJ is operating, as far as I'm concerned, on a skeleton crew.
But he did.
You know.
He did get rid of the what's her name? The Christy Nome.
No.
Mhm.
Christy. Well, he didn't he put her someplace else, but that was obvious.
And some other shit he made up.
Yeah,
Excuse
some
my.
other-
I don't mean to
exactly.
be on TV like. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
online like.
Shit's not the worst thing I've said on the show.
So it just, it's
Yeah.
so, it's just so, and now, they've switched Social Security Administration to the point where, oh, you should read that one. That one is hair raising for older people, persons with disabilities. You have to go through a central warehouse now. I'm going to call it a national call center.
Well, you know what? It's we have been in the process of applying for disability for Greg, and our the case is being processed in I think it's in Kentucky. It's not being
Yeah.
processed in Buffalo. There is an office that used to do that at the Ellicott Square building because I used to work within that office for VESID.
Yes.
And
There's a Social Security Administration building. I guess there's more than one. There was one in Amherst.
Yeah, this
There's
was-
one
yeah.
downtown on Exchange
this was
Street.
specifically Social Security disability
Yes.
a review. They would review the cases
Yes.
before they were approved. And
Yeah.
that's why I worked in that office because we would cherry pick. We would go through the files and cherry pick the people who could be rehabilitated. Like let's say there's a truck driver and he lost a hand or something, and we could find this person, call him up, and say, "Hey, do you still want to be a truck driver? Because if you do, we could fix your truck." And you can drive your truck again. And a lot of times people were like, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I can get these services for free." Yeah, they're for free. And you can continue working. So, all this bullshit about people wanting to be on disability because they don't want to work is not true. Most of the people I spoke to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they spew out rhetoric, and this thing about migrants or illegal, they can't get Social Security numbers. They can't get, I guess they can get medical treatment. Everybody should have medical treatment, especially,
Well, you know what? You can get Social Security numbers because I was working briefly for for companies that were bringing in their employees from other countries to work in their United States offices. And that's one of the things I would do is I would take them to Social Security and help them get their Social Security number.
Okay, but they were being brought in by an employer for
by
a purpose,
by
right?
an employer for a purpose, but they had to have Social Security numbers before they
Right,
got
but
paid.
that's not an illegal alien coming through the barbed wire.
Oh no, it's
at
not.
Mexico.
It's not. But foreign people do get Social Security numbers.
Right. I understand that. I don't, because you're coming in under the umbrella of a
Company.
purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. You haven't run away from anything. You're not an asylum seeker, and you're not past your this and that.
Right.
That's a due process, and that shouldn't be a problem. But they're complaining about how much services illegal aliens are getting. They can't get
they're
it.
Not. They're not getting it.
They're not. It's just not. And they believe.
Yeah.
There's so many people who believe so much propaganda that
I
it's
don't
scary.
think they believe it. I think they want the people who are not critical thinkers in the country, who are their voters, to believe it. I don't think they really believe it. I think that they're saying, okay, all of these people out there who are following us like sheep, we want them to believe it so that they are scared and that they think that they're getting all this. These illegal aliens are getting all this money, but yeah, that's all.
Yes.
Well,
Sickening.
Richard, what's on your list today?
Is that Balzac story that you're going to read called The Unknown Masterpiece?
I've already read it. It's only an hour. Well, I listened to it. It's only an hour long because it's a short story.
Are you familiar with this story, Celeste?
No.
It's fascinating, and it's incorporated into a lot of philosophical texts because it's so
I
symbolic.
didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Celeste, here's what it's about. There's a painter, and he's a legendary master of doing great paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And he claims that he's working on the greatest painting that he's ever made or ever will make. And they said, let's see it. And he said, oh, I can't show you the painting. They go, why? He said, because most paintings, they just imitate life. I'm doing a painting of actual life,
Yeah.
not a
It's alive. Yeah.
not a symbolist thing. And he said, I actually have a relationship with it, and if I were to show you the painting, it would be like cheating on your wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Cool.
the story evolves all the way up until the ending, where they finally get to see the painting. Now you know what the ending is, right? Can you guess what happens when they see the painting,
they
Celeste?
don't believe it. They don't believe it, I guess. Or they're astonished by whatever the image is.
Yeah, they can't believe it because remember what the painter said. It is not the symbolism of life. It doesn't represent life. It is life. It's a
Yes.
series of smudges, color smudges.
With a foot that sticks out the bottom.
Yeah,
There's a foot. It's the smudges cover up whatever would be there.
yeah,
And the
Oh.
one thing that I found interesting about this is that he would not share this image of this woman with anyone because it was his woman. But the young man who wants to become a painter asks his girlfriend or whatever she is to him, his lover,
yeah.
to pose for this painter
So you can finish the
so
painting.
he can finish the painting. So he's willing to let his loved one be observed by this painter, but this painter has made this painting and he doesn't want anyone to see it because he would be, like you said, it would be like this would end their relationship, the relationship he has with this image on the. So I don't know. I wasn't sure if there was an image there and he covered it over with all these blotches
Uh-huh.
because there was a foot.
Yeah.
So I mean it's very complicated. I thought it was interesting.
I'll have to put that on my list of things to do in the fall. I gotta get to
She's already
because
planning the fall.
I'm pretty much locked down on things until
Well,
I don't know August, September, October, somewhere like that when my projects are done.
so the one book I was listening to in the fall, I'm trying to remember what it was. There was a book and Sister Carrie, that's what it was. And in the book, Sister Carrie has a man that she meets, and he tells her, he says, because she's very naive and she's just learning things slowly, and he can see that she's got a spark of intelligence. He keeps telling her, read some Balzac. So the first thing I do, of course, is make a note. Read some Balzac.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious, right? I want to see what he
Yes.
meant and why he wanted her to read Balzac.
Yeah.
But I guess he was considered the first modern novelist or something like that.
Well, something I guess Bob Poe would have the best answer for that because those things are always up for debate.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I forgot
know.
exactly what it was that I think when I was reading the piece that they had on Libby, something about he wrote books in a way that was considered he was the first modern. I don't know. I know I'm going to read a few more. I thought it was interesting enough this hour long. It's hard though because the names are French and it's like reading a Russian novel. Like it's you got to keep track of the names because it gets confusing. It's like
It gets
there were
confusing.
only 3 freaking characters or 4 in this book. And I got to tell you, I was getting confused with just the 4 characters. So it's I don't know if it's just I think it's maybe if you sit down and you actually read it, it's different than hearing the names.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly on my list. I've got a couple things that I would like to. I mean, this wasn't on my list until today, but but to go there and think about that because the famous young actor when you talked about CBS Sunday Morning. Well, apparently Timothy Chalamet, who's like one of the it boys right now,
Yeah.
was having this conversation with Matt McConaughey, and they were talking about funding for the arts and support for the arts. and PBS, and he made a wisecrack about books and opera and ballet.
Books?
Right.
It was books too? I thought it was just opera and ballet.
Well, we're talking about the broadcasting, so I thought that was in there,
Yeah.
literary arts
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something to that effect. Yeah. So
Well,
you have to hope that these things, because it was part of the what
I do
table
see
talk or whatever
yeah.
on CBS when it brought it up.
there
Yeah.
are people on YouTube, like young people, that have
Mm-hmm.
these things where they go and they read a book and they talk about the book, and they've got a lot of followers. I'm very
Yeah.
impressed by that because I thought to myself, where are the readers? I know a couple young, like Tim's daughter, Tim, his daughter, she's a reader. I used to bring her. Every time I would go to a thrift store, I'd see books that I'd read, and paperbacks, and I would buy them for her, and I'd bring her over bags of books because I was so excited that she was a reader. But you don't. It's. I mean, and even like I didn't come from a reading background, but I mean, there are people out there still reading books, and that's
Yes, there's book clubs.
Yeah.
And I think I heard somewhere around the same time that the Gen Z people are really becoming more and more fascinated by books, like real
well
books.
because you're painting all the pictures in your head. It's a way to really expand your mind. When somebody describes a place or describes a person, you have to make that picture in your mind. And so sometimes when you go to see the movie, you're a little disappointed because you didn't see that. But I think that it really it's a mind expanding drug.
Yeah.
Literature.
And I would agree with that. And I'm gonna tell you why I think some people don't read is because they can't read that well.
Do you think it's the educational system?
Yes. Because if reading is hard for you, it's not going to be fun,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to be fun. So if you were fortunate enough to learn how to read and read well at an early age, and that reading was that ELA things and comprehension, we always had comprehension in school. If these things were appealing to you and you were successful in them, then, reading would be a fun and enjoyable part of your world. And I think the audiobook, thank goodness, would address some of that. But I had, and this goes way back when I was executive director of the King Urban Life Center, and we partnered with some literacy groups. And the Junior League at that time was very big on family literacy. Like family literacy was the it thing. And so we would go to different parks and have books set up and little toys set up for kids, like maybe a little play fishing thing. And if you caught a fish, you could pick a book, any book you wanted. I cannot tell you the number of times that the kid would get a book, get a fish, and be told to come and get a book. And the mother, I don't know, who looked like she might have been 12 or 13, all of them fairly young, would say, no, he would like a toy. And then we'd have to say, well, we're not giving toys away. We're giving books away, right? Get a book, a picture book or something. So that was an indicator that however that communication was happening and the passion for the book was just not there among a whole different group of people.
No, and that's why I feel so excited by these YouTube things where there's
Yes.
young people reading classics
Yeah.
and talking about them and getting excited about them and other people watching that and commenting.
Yeah.
To me, this
And
is,
when you have some of the programs that are famous now, that these period pieces, Outlander, Bridgerton,
that's
Downton
a good
Abbey.
point. That is
Yes.
a really good point. That
Yes.
can spark an interest in
Yes.
where it came from.
Yep. So it'll have, that fascination, just like Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. I mean, those books were not skinny, right? That was
No.
not a 90-page book, none of them, right? But the allure was there and it manifests out of that. And so the only way I really see to do that is to have something that makes reading comfortable, easy, and joyful. And I think the audiobook allows for that experience, but
Right.
it's not as I'm sure as you can appreciate, it's not like being able to turn the page back and look at that again. You got to rewind and rethink it,
Exactly. And
right?
the problem is it does come from home.
Yeah,
And if it's been generations of people who have not opened a book,
yep,
it becomes normal, and
yep,
and reading is abnormal. And
yeah.
so it's something to be avoided. And I'm not the only person that I've heard say that I was proud of the fact that I never read a book, a required book. I would just use the notes. I've heard other people say to me, "Oh, I don't read, I live. I want to live." And that is there, it's not mutually exclusive. you know yes, you have to have experiences, but
Yeah,
man, what you can learn from other people's experiences
yeah.
is
I mean, and
so.
the things that we treasured long ago, like um, encyclopedias. I
Oh,
mean,
I love them.
right? Those are like glory things. And now, you have a library on your phone, but here's the problem. Now with the introduction of some of these other interfering companions on the phone, you don't know how accurate the
No,
information is.
you're right. You're
I think
right.
I was maybe I was talking to a message. I looked up Carlos Santana
Okay.
on Google, and the AI always jumps up and gives you its story.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, there's also a famous baseball player named Carlos Santana.
Huh.
So AI, in its description of the Santana that I was looking for, wondering about, iconic musician Santana, Carlos Santana, he mixed the two Santanas together. So it
He
was
was a
like,
baseball playing a guitarist.
right? And now here is this, Carlos Santana is also a major league baseball player. And I thought, one is 30 and the other one is 70. How is this? How did you merge? I
I
mean,
had I
it was
had yeah.
crazy.
I had
Well, the
something.
problem is,
Yeah.
I knew who I was looking for and what it should say. What about the people who don't
Yeah,
really know?
exactly. I looked up a few years ago. I looked myself up, and I found out I was dead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Welcome back. How was your trip?
And it was disconcerting.
No doubt.
But
No doubt.
yeah, but I mean, they got a lot of stuff right, but that I was dead. So I died
Yeah.
at at some point in time. But
Yeah. And that's why, this whole, I mean, the conversations they're having about AI now should have been happening 2 years before it was released to the public, right?
they don't.
So,
They're
so
just worried
you could
about
at least,
money. It's just money. It's
oh,
all about money. Nobody cares about it, people.
yeah. And now it's in your Gmail, right? You
Oh
type,
yeah, you look, you search something in Google, and you get an AI
yeah.
answer first. Did you
Yes.
notice that?
And then if you
Yeah.
and if you're typing a new email message, you're gonna get AI punchline on the screen
Oh,
first.
see, I still have a Yahoo email.
Oh,
So my email, it's almost as bad as having AOL as your emails.
that's okay. But at least the AI isn't jumping on you, right? Because
It's not
it's just
jumping
I
on
had
me.
to like hit the space bar or the enter key in order to bypass the AI when I want to do an email. And I'm trying to find a way to disable it. It's what I want to do.
Yeah, they probably have that fixed so you can't.
Yeah.
They want you to become
But
dependent on it and use it. And I do use AI. I am I say, I ask questions. I got new medication for my fibromyalgia. I've got a study that I want to get Greg
but
involved
did you get
in.
it from AI or did you get it
A,
from a search?
AI, and then I looked to make sure that the information was correct. So
Oh,
I went. They give you the source of where they got it, and so I checked the source material, to make sure. So I've got this new medication, and Greg is going for DNA testing for free in Rochester at the end of the month to perhaps get involved in a study for DNA and Parkinson's.
Wow.
So and my doctor didn't know. Our doctor did not. His doctor, his neurologist, didn't say anything about this. My doctor didn't know anything about this. He looked it up while I was talking to him, and I said I want to try it, and he prescribed it, but he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, I mean that is an upside, and I've kind of felt that AI had a role in science for a lot of different reasons. I've never felt it had a particular role in the cultural arts, except if you're going to do some sort of innovative composition.
yeah, I mean, not
or
right. I didn't watch that. Richard had brought up last week this artist that was doing this AI. Looks like it's like almost like it's a video, like it's moving. It moves, and it's
Yes.
cool as hell. And he said he saw it on 60 Minutes, and I had a few 60 Minutes recorded, but I hadn't really watched them. So
Yeah.
I ran into it, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet. But it's fabulous. It's very
Well, it's like those immersive experiences where
Yes,
things are moving and you're in the middle of it. And
yeah. I went to that one. I went to that one at Buff State. The
Mesmerica?
Mesmerica.
Isn't that crazy?
It was crazy.
I love it.
Did you go?
Yes.
Yeah, I took my friend Gloria has an arts access pass, so she takes me to a lot of things for free, and so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to treat her to something, so I bought tickets for us to go see that.
Yep. That was my first time ever going to the Ferguson Planetarium. I'd never been before.
I didn't even know it was there. I thought
Yeah, I knew it was there, but I said, how do you find it? Because I'm thinking about planetarium like a big globe or sphere or something like that.
Yeah.
And, it's in a building and it's easy to get to once you know where it is, and the parking is good once you know where it is, right?
Yeah, it was hard
And
to find. You're
so
right.
I'll be visiting more because it's a cool place.
Yeah. I like.
So-
I thought it was fascinating. It's
Yeah.
like it's very similar to that art that guy did. It's immersive experience. It was in a dome shape, and you look up, and it's all this stuff happening all at the same time. It's almost hypnotic.
Yeah. And when they did the Monet here, because it traveled, it was the same way.
Yeah, I
and
saw
so
that.
it went in groups,
And the
they
Van
wanted
Gogh.
you to go in. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Van Gogh.
The Van Gogh. Yes. Yes. The Van Gogh. So these are a group of, I guess, Canadian innovative artists, and they're putting together one or more of these.
They're fun. They're
Yeah,
they're fun,
yeah.
and they're kind of overwhelming, but in a good way. But
Yeah.
all right, so we've got 8 minutes and 45 seconds left. What else is on your list?
Well, when the famous painter shows his work,
Yes.
and the other people they look at it and they say, "This is just color smudges and a foot."
Yeah.
And do you remember what the painter does when he realizes they don't see the same thing he does?
That was the. I don't remember now.
He kills himself.
He killed himself at the end
He
of the
kills
story?
himself?
He killed himself. Like he had this crisis saying, wait a minute, have I been deceiving myself this whole time that I was creating this masterpiece that didn't represent the world but was the world? Or this woman? Was
Yeah.
this woman?
Yeah.
And the crisis of, was
Different-
I on the right track or the wrong track? Right track or wrong track? It was too much for him to bear, and he killed himself.
Yeah. You know what?
Oh, my God.
And before he killed himself, he destroyed the painting.
Yeah, I remember he destroyed the painting, but I didn't remember him killing himself.
Yeah.
What I did was, I mean, I was listening to it, and I stayed in the car. It was like a couple seconds left. I stayed in the car so I could listen to it some more because I was, it was hooked up to my system, and I must have been off on a
So what is it? Masterpiece? What's the title of it again?
hidden
Under the-
masterpiece.
Hidden masterpiece?
Wait a minute, I still have it.
I'll
on my
look it
phone.
up.
Yeah, I still have it here too.
Unknown masterpiece.
Unknown.
Unknown. I knew it was
Yeah.
something like that. Wow.
Yeah.
So now let's say that this was written before abstract impressionism.
Oh, I thought about that. I did think about that. I said, I wonder how much information the painters that came after this took from this story. I wonder if it was a popular story.
Wow.
So is the story saying that the way art is moving, it's going to move into this totally abstract thing that nobody's going to be able to understand except the painter?
I got the impression that, well, I had two impressions. One, I thought he smudged it over when they were going to come in to see it because he didn't want to reveal it because it was his loved one. But then the other part of me said that it was representative, like Picasso, when Picasso painted things in three different angles all at the same time. That's what he was seeing. He was seeing all of the angles at the same time in the movement. And so those were the two thoughts I had. One was the the abstractness, and then I did think about that. I said, this is so written so early.
1831.
Yes, that it was.
The smudges, though, indicate something else, right? Smudge, if you look at from a cosmic perspective and the beginning of where does life begin to its actual incarnate, those smudges could be that. I'd have to read, but that sounds to me like the universe, particles,
like breaking it down into the smallest, like
the smallest
atoms or quarks or whatever they're called now.
nuclei, all those sort of particles, stardust, all these things that we are to get to the final piece.
Oh, so they're an enlarged version of this smaller thing that's going on. I every once in a while it'll occur to me that I'm not a solid mass, and that'll freak
Yes.
me out. It'll just freak me out. It's
I
like,
posted something from Neil deGrasse, who has a show, and I should pay more attention to it. And that one popped up, and I don't know how, and maybe because I was following it. But the conversation was about, the rotating of the earth, the wobble. I mean, there's a whole lot going on at one time that gravity doesn't allow us to experience. Hallelujah, or we'd be flying off someplace.
yeah,
But the other part of this is the fact that the composition of the human body, aside from its intelligence, is really particles of galaxies, right? So in our own way, we're stars.
right. Well, see, this is something that I just realized recently. Whenever anybody would say this planet cannot support life, I'd say, well, that's very ethnocentric of you. How do you know
Yeah.
what life could be on that planet?
Exactly.
Until I realized that if the Big Bang Theory is a fact, that everything was contained in that, so it would be the same shit that everything's made out of. Everything in the universe would be made of the same stuff. So therefore it would make sense that life would have to take the same form, if you look at it from that perspective. So I always thought that people were just, they weren't keeping an open mind. It's like, okay, Star Trek, they had those little flashes of light. There were these creatures that were just lights floating around.
Yes, yes.
It's life, but not as we know it. But if the whole universe is made up of the same stuff, just like we're made of the same stuff, of everything.
Well, and we could be those, when you talk about the explosion, the Big Bang, and they talk about light years and billions, and how does life that had started at that core get to like now, and what will it look like? Well, what do we know about things that are alive, right? Common things. They
Well,
all have the same thing.
well,
They all have eyes. They all have mouths.
well,
They all have to eat.
they need
The
oxygen.
female
Yeah.
species are primarily the procreators. Intercourse is the same way. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some things that are, even though that might be minutia up to the human, where we've considered ourselves the top of the food chain, the similarities are just there, right?
Yeah.
And then we're talking about, the DNA and the ape kingdom and all these other kinds of things. You'd have to, I don't know enough about DNA to talk anymore about it. But the fact of the matter, we can't escape the similarities, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how they measure light years. It's some type of way, right? You have to be an astrophysicist to figure that out.
I like I said, I'm baffled. I'm baffled by my own existence. So
Yes, because when you think about who we are and how we respond,
and how I'm standing on a big round thing, and I'm spinning in space, and I'm spinning around another bigger thing, and
you're also on a tilt and a wobble.
And-
This is the beauty of listening to Neil deGrasse.
I know
right?
I do love him, but I tried to read
Yeah.
his book that he said was for people who aren't astrophysicists or whatever he is, and I still couldn't understand it.
No. I don't try to. I listen and then I try to make notes. And then,
I didn't. I was so disappointed because I thought I mean it was sort of like science for dummies, and I still didn't get it. So I couldn't,
Yeah, no,
I couldn't.
I didn't either. And
We're-
these
we're-
quantum leap theories and all the rest of them,
We're at
they
20
make sense when I hear them.
We're at
but I
20
could never
seconds.
read it.
We're at 20 seconds, so it's time to say goodbye. So Richard,
Oh, okay.
thank you again for doing this, and Celeste, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it so much. And Mick,
Oh, good
you're
talking to
a
you.
gem for doing this. You're a great guy. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ciao, ciao.
Love you guys. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.